Na.
Abu.
Abu. Abbas. Hassan. Hassan. Oyo. Pour la marche royale. Abu. Abbas. Hassan. Hassan. Oyo.
The people of Cameroun can pretend to ignore reality, but they cannot pretend to ignore the consequences for ignoring reality. The people of Cameroun can pretend to be ignoring the political realities in Cameroun. But what they cannot do, they cannot pretend to ignore the consequences for ignoring reality. Mr. Biya has returned to Cameroun, as all of you must have seen on social media. The people of the CPDM elites, they brought old mothers. People slept at the airport for days. They were paid 500 francs, 1,000 francs, 2,000 francs, 5,000 francs to show love for Mr. Paul Biya. They paid journalists to camp at the airport for days. But the world is not ignoring the reality in Cameroon. France 24 covered the story, the missing president. WION of Australia, Deutsche Welle, BBC, CNN. The world is not ignoring what is happening in Cameroon. It's a ticking time bomb. Most Ambazonians, most activists, including Cameroonian activists and their journalists, they ask a lot of questions during Mr. Biya'S' absence. Was he in Geneva? Was he at the Intercontinental Hotel? Or was he hospitalized? Some claim that Mr. Biya'S has died. Whatever happened during the last 50 days, one thing is very certain. The future of Cameroon is bleak. The future of Cameroon is uncertain. And Biya'S' return cannot change that. Biya'S' return cannot change the reality of the political situation in Cameroon. It's only helping to inflame the anxieties and the concerns. Cameroon has a problem. The people of Cameroon must accept that problem, must acknowledge that problem. You cannot deny the reality. You can ignore the reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences for ignoring that reality. There is a big problem in Cameroon. Big political problems, big social problems, big security problems, big economic problems. The future of Cameroon is very uncertain. The world is very concerned. The World Bank is concerned. The IMF is concerned. France is very concerned. And even the people of Cameroon, they go to bed at night not knowing what tomorrow will be. Even members of the CPDM Central Committee, they go to bed at night not knowing what tomorrow will be. Why? Because they've relied on one single person to be the center of everything for the last 42 years. Let's look at the structure of the state. Mr. Biya'S is at the helm. Next, you have the Senate. Who is the president of Cameroon Senate? That should, in case something happens to Mr. Biya'S today, who will be in charge? Because that's how the international community makes this assessment. They don't make the assessment by emotions. They don't make their assessment through illusions. They make their assessment through facts and evidence. Who is to replace Mr. Biya'S should, in case he is sick or through natural causes of death? Who will replace Mr. Biya'S? Let's take a look. And you should understand why the people of Cameroon are living in a state of anxiety and fear. The person who was to replace Mr. Biya'S is Marcel Nyat. He's 88 years old. He's incapacitated. He's somewhere in Europe in a hospital because they haven't built any for themselves and for the people of Cameroon. Just like Mr. Biya'S receiving treatment in Europe, because he built nothing for himself and for the people of Cameroon in Cameroon. So they have to go to Europe when they are sick. Look at the state of Nia. That's the president of the Cameroon Colonial Senate. He is the person to replace Mr. Biya. Now you tell me, what is the future of Cameroon if the person who's to replace Mr. Biya is already incapacitated, is sick, and is in the hospital? What is the future of Cameroon? That's just politically. What future do the people of Cameroon have? Marcel Niat is on his way out. This is just by nature. He can't speak. He can't think. He can't reason. His physical body does not even support him anymore. So how can he govern a state? How can he provide over the Senate? And that is the person who's supposed to replace Mr. Biya. You see now why the people of Cameroon are living in a state of anxiety? You see now why the people of Cameroon are living in a state of illusion of hope? After Nyat, who's next? Let's say, in case something happens to Mr. Biya and Nyat is unable. Who's next? The first vice president of the Senate. Last few days, I've been consulting with some constitutional experts in Cameroon. So they provide me with this data. After Marcel Nyat is the first vice president is Boubacarry. Boubacarry from the northern region. First, Marcel Nyat is from the western region. Is from the Bamileke tribe. Nyat has never been elected to the Senate. He's always been appointed to the Senate by Mr. Biya. So even Nyat, who's supposed to replace Mr. Biya, is not an elected member of the Cameroon Senate. He's an appointed member of the Senate. So he's not elected, he's appointed, and he's the president of the Senate. The first vice president of the Cameroon Senate, Boubacarry from the northern region of Cameroon, is from the northern region. Watch for yourself, because this video was captured during the last 50 days when there was so much doubt, even within the CPDM Central Committee, because information was not provided to the people of Cameroon and was not provided to the top government officials of Cameroon as to where Mr. Biya is and the state of his health. Marcel Nyat is in a hospital. So they were preparing Boubacarry to fill in the gap. That is it. That's Boubacarry. He's also in his 80s. He's from the northern region of Cameroon. So in case something happens to Mr. Biya, either sickness or death, Nyat is already out, so just X Nyat out. The next person that the people of Cameroon have to look up to will be Boubacarry from the northern region. is in his 80s. So, which means power will return to the Fulanese. And this is something the Bulus will never accept. The Bulus will never accept for power to go back to the Fulanese in the north. They will never accept. And here lies the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of Cameroon's biggest political crisis. At this moment, Biya cannot reform the constitution. They cannot revise the constitution. They cannot make amendment in the constitution to bring in either Frank Biya. So they have to look for some political negotiations within the CPDM Central Committee that Boubacarry or Massenia will fill in the gaps for 3 months and then for them to hold elections. It is during these elections, Biya is a very smart politician. That's why about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, he created a constitutional council and took a magistrate, a retired magistrate, and brought him back to the bench. Who is the president of the Constitutional Council? Clement Atanga. He's almost 90 years old. Clement Atanga. That's the president of the Constitutional Council. Going to play a pivotal role to make sure that the Bulu retains power. It's not going to be a smooth transition. It's going to be negotiated through a fraud. All right? They are going to impose somebody. But for now, let's deal with what's at stake now. Who else is there? The second vice president of the Senate is from the state of Manu, Mr. Tabetando. He's not an elected member of parliament. He's appointed. There are 100 members in the Cameroon Senate. 70 are voted through fraud, and 30 are appointed by Mr. Biya. Out of the 100 members, there are 6 seats occupied by 6 opposition parties. 6 opposition parties, with each party having just 1 member, and most of them are appointed by Mr. Biya. A few are elected through fraud. All right? All these parties are part of the CPDM party. Mr. Biya created this party using his friends from the north, from the far north, from the north, and from Adamawa, using people in the center, all right, just to mask and deceive the Cameroonian people that there is something called opposition parties in the parliament. It's all a game. There are only 6 seats occupied by opposition party, with each party having just 1 seat. So you have what, 94% of the seats within the parliament, in the parliament, are occupied by the CPDM elites, handpicked by Mr. Biya. That's the uncertainty. That's where the problem lies. There cannot be any debates. Everything is imposed by the will of the political god of Cameroon. Here lies the biggest problem that the people of Cameroon faced. The only thing they've known, the only person they've known is Mr. Biya. And for 42 years, they are living in an illusion of hope, an illusion of peace. Underneath this charade is violence, oppression, torture, terrorism. If you look at the three northern regions, 70% of the population have not even been to elementary school. That's according to Cameroon former Minister of Communication, Issa Chiroma. According to Mr. Chiroma, 70% of the population of the three northern regions of Cameroon have not even been to elementary school. 70%. Look at what Boko Haram is doing in the northern regions of Cameroon. They don't have food. They don't have water. 70% is no education. They can't read and they can't write. How do you build a country? How do you secure the future? When 70% of the population of the three biggest provinces or regions in Cameroon have zero education. They can't read and they can't write. You see why they can manipulate them politically? You see why they are using the elites, the chiefs and the fawns, or the lamidos, or the imams from these places in order to consolidate power? That's why they have to rely on religious leaders, traditional leaders, to buy and corrupt political power. The people cannot reason, they cannot think for themselves. If they can't read, they can't write, what do they know? %70 cannot read, they can't write. What future do they have? What future do they have? Because of the lack of education, because of the deliberate lack of investments in children's education, in adult education, in skills training. It's a plan, it's a policy. Because as long as the people cannot read, they can't write, they cannot think, the critical faculty within their brain will never be developed. So they are living in primitive stages, just like animals, just like goats or sheep. That's what Mr. Biya and the CPDM elites have created, to create a population that cannot think. And that's the education, even those that have gone to school. With all the education or schooling, the critical faculty has never been developed. You can't ask questions. You can't. Accept things the way they are. Accept your conditions the way they are. Just accept it. It's okay. You don't have water to drink, just accept it. Even when the streets are filled with garbage, just accept it. Even when people pee on the streets, just accept it. Even when you don't have a government that functions, just accept it. There are no social services. Just accept it. Don't question anything. The moment you start to question things, you become a threat to the system. The moment you show the capacity that you can reason and you can ask logical, objective questions, you become a threat to the system. The moment you show signs of reawakening, you regaining consciousness, you begin to think, you begin to show compassion, you begin to ask questions about why are we accepting this? You become a threat. The moment you start to speak the truth, you become a threat. The moment you start to ask for reforms, you become a threat. The police will be after you. The gendarmes will be after you. The military will be after you. The special forces called the Biya'S will be after you. Cameroun special forces are now responsible in maintaining peace, security, and order in all Cameroon urban centers, as well as fighting the war in Ambazonia. They are parading the streets of Cameroon to intimidate and terrorize the population. Over the last 2 weeks, they pulled out about 3,000 Biya'S from the war zone in Ambazonia and redeployed them to the streets of the major cities of Cameroon to intimidate the population. Nobody should take to the streets. Nobody should ask questions. No, people cannot gather in the streets. If they see you in a group of 5, all of you are in trouble. You go to a bar to have a drink with friends, you are in trouble. By 10, 11 o'clock at night, everybody is in trouble. They'll pick you up, take you, and then they ask you to pay ransom. Cameroon is in trouble. It's a ticking time bomb. They are living in an illusion of hope, illusion that there is peace, illusion that things are stable. Nothing is stable in Cameroon. As long as you have this system in place, because of all of these factors, Mr. Biya is very old. He's no longer in charge. The president of the Senate is not in charge. The first vice president of the Senate, Bubakari, is not in charge. President of the Parliament, Tavaye, is not in charge. The Prime Minister, they call him head of government. He's not the head of government, as we've all have seen. All right? He's not in charge. Atanganji Paul is not in charge. The Biya'S are in charge. The military are in charge. The police are in charge. The gendarmerie are in charge. Power is in the hands of those that are carrying guns. Power is in the hands of the military and the security forces. That's the only thing keeping Cameroon together. It's just through fear and intimidation. Let me tell the people of Cameroon, you can ignore, you can pretend to be ignoring the political realities of Cameroon, but you cannot pretend to be ignoring the consequences of what you're trying to pretend to ignore. It will haunt you, it will eat you, it will consume you, and it will steal your destiny and your future away from you. you people have an obligation to your children and to your country. Young men in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger are rising up to restore the dignity of their people, are rising up to take power that has been stolen and sold to imperialists, to give their people the dignity, the lives, the stability, the peace, the security, and the development they deserve. That's what the military is for. When political institutions fail to deliver, the goal of the military is to restore trust, is to rebuild the institutions of the state. That's what the B in Cameroon should do. That's what the gendarmes in Cameroon should do. That's what the military in Cameroon should do. That's what the police in Cameroon should do. Restore the dignity of Cameroon. Clean up that system before it's too late. Clean up the system before it's too late. The generals of the B, of the military, it is time for you people to do what the people of Mali have done. Do what the people of Burkina Faso have done. Do what the people of Niger have done. Restore power to the people of Cameroon. Bring peace to Cameroon. Restore nationalism to Cameroon. Restore Cameroon to the Cameroonian people. That's what you should be doing. The Biya'S, stop wasting your time to fight a war in the occupied territory of Ambazonia. You cannot win. You don't have what it takes. You don't have the means. You don't have the equipment. You don't have the training. You don't have a reason to be in Ambazonia. What is your reason for being in Ambazonia? To protect what interest and whose interest? You are in Ambazonia to protect what interest and whose interest? The interest of Mr. Biya, who's on his way to the grave, or the interest of Bubakari, who cannot even protect the people of the north, who has never given water to the people of the north. They don't have water to drink. Children of the north, 70% of them, including adults, have not been to primary school. No basic education. No water to drink. No roads. No electricity. No social infrastructures. They are just barely surviving. So what interest are you protecting? And whose interest are you protecting? You don't have a reason to be in Ambazonia. It's an illusion. It's a distraction. Go back to Cameroon. Go clean up the system. Go clean up the cancer that has infested Cameroon and eating up the destiny of your people. That's the responsibility of a soldier. It's not to rape. It's not to murder women and children. It's not to burn homes and destroy villages. That's what savages do. That's what barbarians do. Mr. Biya has turned all of you to become barbarians and savages and terrorists to protect an illusion. Fellow Ambazonians, the people of Cameroun, they feel pretend for ignore the reality. Say their country, they inside big political trouble, inside big economic trouble, inside big social trouble. Cameroon, they inside a mess. So the people of Cameroun, they feel pretend for ignore the realities, but they not feel pretend for ignore the consequences of the realities where they try for ignore. I talk again. The people that for inside Cameroon, the people that for inside Cameroon, they feel pretend for ignore all the things that they happen for their country, but they not feel pretend for ignore the consequences of the things that they pretend for ignorance. Because the consequences, and those consequences, the way Cameroonian that they live under, the conditions where the Cameroonian people that they live under, over the last 50 days, today make exactly 51 days, over the last 51 days, why the people of Cameroon that they deny, that they pretend for ignore their country they find. The whole world, it is see what they happen for La Republic. France 24, they write about a missing president. WION, the Australian TV station, they write about the missing president of Cameroon. BBC, they write about the missing president of Cameroon. Deutsche Welle, they write about the missing president of Cameroon. CNN, they write about the missing president of Cameroon. They even talk about the fact, say, even them, they ask question, say, Mr. Biya, they alive or hidden at hospital. So why the people of Cameroon that they try for deny? The whole world, you know what did happen for Cameroon. So you not feel pretend, say things are fine. With everybody around you, the whole of Africa, the whole world, they laugh people them for Cameroon. They laugh Cameroonians. They laugh Cameroonese. The whole world, they make a mockery of Cameroon. Because the people of Cameroon, they don't live on for the last 42 years. For the last 42 years, one group of gangsters, they don't kind of hijack the destiny of Cameroon. So Cameroon, they inside big palaver, where the only thing where the people of Cameroon, they don't know for 42 years, now only one man. For the people for North, if they need water for drink, they get for beg na pobia. The people, the Bulu people themselves, even if na water they need for beg na pobia. If the people for Ebolowa, they need just for be small school for picking them, they need for go beg na pobia. If the people for the Western region, the Bamileke people them, they need for build market, they need for beg na pobia. They want build a small road, they need for beg pobia. If road don't spoil, they want build small bridge from one village to another, they need for go beg na pobia. So for the last 42 years, the people of Cameroon, the only thing where they don't know na pobia. They don't know what they call and say a government. So make inside that government where Cameroon, they talk so they get them. Make we look and make we see why the people of Cameroon, they live in fear, they get anxieties, and they be very angry and they be full of frustration. There is a reason. Because why did they try to ignore reality, then they live with the consequences for the realities where they ignore them. Make we take a look. For the last 50 days, when no man will be no playing Mr. Biya'S, whether it be been for hospital or it be just relax for Geneva, when no man will be no, according to their constitution, because I don't consult with some political experts, constitutional experts for Cameroon, may they help me for understand how the structure of power there should, in case something happen for Pobia, now wait it go happen. And all the political scientists we are talked to, I need to talk about members of Cameroon CPDM power party, where they talk say they be constitutional expert, like Ngole, not be that kind of people then. And they talk for academia, people them for big book, where they stand up for big book, for just tell we how things they did for the book. So I called some of these people, about 3 or 4 of them, from the various parts of Cameroon, for find out from them. May they help me for understand the situation, their political situation, and what then they think about. The first one, a lawyer, will come out for that side where they call and say Western region. He come out for the Bamileke tribe. He tell me, say, look, our country they inside deep shit. We don't know what go happen. If not true say Mr. Biya'S don't die or he is sick. No man don't know what go happen. He said, but according to the constitution, in the absence of Mr. Biya'S, say if Mr. Biya'S no there for 45 days, the need for fill in the power vacuum. And now the president of the Senate now is supposed to take over for fill in the political vacuum in the absence of Mr. Biya'S. And I ask you, say, but now who be that president of the Senate? It tell me, say, Marcel Nyat. I say, Marcel Nyat. Wait, they 88 years old? Now Marcel, should in case something happen for Mr. Biya'S, you did tell me, say, you the constitutional expert. You did tell me, say, the next in line for fill in a political power vacuum. Now, an 88-year-old man, where he himself there for hospital for Europe. Because he, the Marcel Nyat, and Mr. Biya'S, the only reason why they go receive treatment for Europe. Now, because they never ever build any hospital for themselves and for their people then. So that's why they take all this plenty money, they go for Europe and they go get the best treatment. Why they live on their countrymen, women, and children? They just sick and they just die in misery. So I say, okay, now Nyat go take over power. And Nyat now there for wheelchair. And Nyat there for hospital bed. They the whole Nyat before he go peace. They the whole Nyat before he go shit. They the whole Nyat before he shit on. They the whole Nyat and then he hold that cane. Before Nyat waka. You did tell me saying that the person this. We there for the line of succession? So you tell me, if now you be a Cameroonian and Mr. Biya'S never deliver for 42 years, and the person will be next for you will be close to Mr. Biya'S' age, and he be more sick, more frail, more weak than Mr. Biya'S. Enough he waka, enough he talk, enough he shidon, and the person this way, now he be the next for take over power. I say, now I understand why the people of Cameroon that they live in anxiety, why they be frustrated, why they live with the illusion of hope. They know say things are not fine. Every Cameroonese know say Cameroon don't scatter and it don't chakara, and there is no cure. There's no political cure for the disease, for the political cancer where they chop la Republic. There is no political cure. And there is no miracle where Mr. Biya'S go do one, we go solve the political problems of Cameroon. Because they never ever build institutions. They build strong men who they be backed up by the military, the police, and the gendarme, and not institutions. So in case of their absence, those institutions, those banana institutions, those ice cream institutions, they no go fit stand for support, for withstand the pressure, for change and for reforms. Because the next person will be for power, will be weak and more sick than the current one will be for power. So if the two top people then for power, they on their way to the grave, the destiny of Cameroun it be on its way to the grave. The destiny of Cameroun it be on its way to the grave. A people without a vision, they will perish. Cameroun don't perish for 42 years. Cameroun don't perish since independence. So now, I say, okay, tell me now who be number 3. After Nyat, because now I'm going to count Nyat out, right? Because Nyat the own state, enough he talk. Either for wheelchair, before one go for shit, they carry, it one go piece, they carry for chop, the people that they give chop. Why did they still leave it for that position? Because there's a system. I say, okay, after Nyat now, because now according to our constitution, the president office stay outside for more than 45 days. He must come back. Mr. Biya'S stay outside for 50 days. And no man will be know who's there. Even the members of the CPDM party, the top political leaders, including the prime minister, they not be one tell them what did happen with Mr. Biya'S. Zero communication. It reached for a level where now Tanganji Paul, a junior minister, he got for come out, he can ban all the press, violate their own constitution. See, many people they not ask question about Mr. Biya'S, his whereabouts and his health. Ban the press from talking about the whereabouts of Mr. Biya'S, and even for ask whether Mr. Biya'S they alive or he don't die or he didn't for sick house or he didn't for medicine house. Now the level that way things don't reach. Now the Cameroun that way Mr. Biya'S don't build them. So he say, okay, he say number 3 for line after if Biya'S no day, now Mr. Nyat go take place. I say, okay, more take Mr. Nyat out because you know say this is a way no day. So who be the next? He tell me say the next, a member of the Senate where he come out for the northern region of Cameroon. What he be named? Bubakari. Bubakari now an appointed member of the Senate. By the way, even Marcel Nyat, they not be voting to the Senate. Marcel Nyat, the president of the Senate, when he's supposed to replace Paul Biya'S, should in case Biya'S die or Biya'S is sick and need for hospital. Now Marcel Nyat supposed to replace him. Marcel Nyat is not a voted member of the Senate. Now an appointed member of the Senate. I say, what about Bubakari? Bubakari from the northern region is not an elected member of the Senate. Bubakari, now the first vice president of the Senate, now an appointed member of the Senate. And I said, now I understand the system. Because at least, if not the people that be vote you, there will be some level of accountability. The people that feel hold you accountable. But now, when the president of the Senate be appointed, you see now why a loyalty must be not to Mr. Biya'S. You see now why the first vice president, a loyalty must be not to Mr. Biya'S and not to the people or the state. And then for all the other people then. I said, okay. But that one too, it almost 90 years old. You see, say he to the worker like Nyat. He too they on the way out to the grave. So who saw the leadership there with the energy, with the strength, for reason, for think, and for shape a future for the people of Cameroon. If the top 3 people them, they are the day now on their way to the grave, then the country is on its way to the grave. Then the future is on its way to the grave. Then the destiny is on its way to the grave. We now understand. And that number 3 person, Bubakari, he come on for the north. You think say the Bulu, where they don't taste and hold power for 42 years, they go live and make the fool and they go back, make they take over power? You think say the Bulu, they and the Basa people them, they go live and make the fool and people them, they come back into power. It no will ever happen. And now the problem is. And now the problem is. Make we just talk say it happen. Now wait till that almost 90-year-old man, if he do one for the people of Cameroon. Nothing. Because the power is not there for these people, their hand. The real people they get power for La République. Number 1. Now the B where Mr. Biya create them. They not create the B now for bring peace, security, and for give the people of Cameroon peace or security or stability. They create the B primarily now for be a force for intimidate the people of Cameroon, for frighten the people of Cameroon. The B, it be more powerful past the presidential guards. And the B and the presidential guards, in fact, now one, they did go through the same training, they did receive the same training. So now one, you just call the other one presidential guards, not just for separate the two, but now one. Now the B, they get power for Cameroon. The military now they get power. The gendarme now they get power. The police now they get power. Now we understand the palaver where Cameroon did it. Because an average Cameroonian, you don't know who will be the next person should in case Mr. Biya die. So all these political scientists, they get doubts. They be very concerned. They be very worried. They live in states of anxiety. 3 out of the 4, their conclusion, now say, should in case Mr. Biya die, the military will take over power for Cameroon. 3 out of 4 political scientists who I consult with them, just to understand these things from their own perspective, not be from my own perspective. Because my own perspective, it be very subjective and it be very biased based on my hatred of Cameroon. I see things from their perspective. Now, how then the process, what did it happen for their country? Every single Cameroonese where you talk to, it be very frightened, it be very concerned, they be very worried, they sleep for night, they know the truth of the state of things for their country, but they try for denial. Every Cameroonese, it be very ashamed of Cameroon. Okay? They be very ashamed of Cameroon. So that's why when something happen, like you see what it on, the fight will happen 3 days ago or 4 days ago with Ngannou, he win that fight. Now that's it. Now the only thing that way they go hang on to for their social image. They not get a political self-esteem. An average Cameroonian, he not get a self-esteem as a citizen of Cameroon. Because their country now a stain to humanity. Cameroon now a stain to humanity. So the citizens of Cameroon, they be ashamed of themselves and they be ashamed of their country. They be ashamed of their political system. They be ashamed of their institutions. They be ashamed of the terrorism with their military and their government in the course of Ambazonia. The people of Cameroon, they be ashamed of their country. They don't get a pride with other people, them like Nigerians. If you meet a Nigerian be very proud of a country. He be very proud of his culture. He be very proud for call himself or herself as a Nigerian. You meet a Ghanaian, the way that they talk about their country, they get pride. Ooh, not to talk about when you meet somebody from Niger, or you meet somebody from Mali, or you meet somebody from Burkina Faso. The generation of people them from Burkina Faso, that's why they be so happy with the development in terms of this generation. We don't rise up for inside Burkina Faso for restore the nationalism, the patriotism, and for rebuild a new society for the people of Burkina Faso, for the people of Mali. See what these people that they do. They send out the Americans and the French. They send out the imperialists. And they start for forging new alliances. They let go of the old, corrupt world for embracing new reality for their people. For create a better life for their people. So, when I feel understand why the people of Camerooners, why the Camerooners would be frustrated. Because their future then are for the grave. When they themselves they think about the mess where they did, that's why the Cameroonese people not understand why Ambazonians be Ambazonians. They not understand because the system for inside Cameroon, they don't train, program, educate, all right, and condition an average Cameroonese. So 70% of the population them, of the people them, for the 3 northern regions of Cameroon, 70% of the population, they never go primary school. Just yes on team. This one according to Issa Chiroma, the former Minister of Communication for La République. He talks say for an interview will be granted for the people of Cameroon themselves. Issa Chiroma talks say for the 70% of the population for the 3 northern regions of Cameroon, they never go primary school. They never enter primary school. They never finish primary school. That one is 70% of the 3 biggest provinces for La République. You get 70% of your population. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. They don't feel reason. They just they like goats and sheep. They don't leave them for a very primitive stage of life. So that's why they use religious, those traditional rulers, they use religious leader for use them for build a political structure will be based on corruption. They never give them water for drink. They never give them schools for go into. They never give them roads. They don't get lights. So now which kind of future those people get them? You see now why an average Cameroonese, if he ask a basic question about their country, you see now why they not hold their people them responsible. You see now why they not take to the streets and protest. You see now why their own military, do wait till the military of Burkina Faso don't do one. You see now why their own military, do their own bees. They not do what they don't do what the young men and women for military, for Niger, for Burkina Faso, for Mali, they don't do one. You understand now why? Because in 42 years, they don't program and condition the people of Cameroon for be a people with enough reason. You know if you think, you know if you reason. And so you must just accept things as they are. You woke up, you see dirty for streets. You know if you ask question, why the tea dey for streets? And why we get company where they supposed to carry the tea for streets? And every year we put money for clean the streets. People that they piss for road, people that they shit for road. You know if you ask question, why the system dey like that? Water no dey for drink, you know if you ask question, why the system dey like that? People no get lights, you know if you ask question, why the system dey like that? Like programming, so that these vampires, that's why they create the bees. Not before protect the people there, not before bring peace, not before maintain security, not for leave the people them to be very frightened. The moment you start forget a reawakening of your own humanity, and you start to ask any question, the bee they will be after you, the police they will be after you, the gendarme they will be after you. There is no magic bullet we go solve the political problems, the social problems of Cameroon. Now only one solution remains. For the bees, for the military, for the gendarmes, and for the police, where they use them for fight and kill Ambazonians. They not there because they want be there. They not get any reason for be there. They not get a nationalistic reason. They not get a social justice reason. They not get a cultural reason. So now which they protect them by fighting and killing Ambazonians. Because they not get any reason. No person of it justify to them and explain to them the reason why they need for fight for Ambazonia. And where it go make sense. Because there is no just reason. There is nothing where it be based on any meaning as to why they deploy them for Ambazonia, for do what they do for Ambazonia. That's why they turn them into savages. That's why they turn them into barbarians. That's why they be raped. That's why they don't become rapists, arsonists. Don't become the people that they rape Ambazonian picking them. Rape young boys, rape young girls, massacre school children. Now that frustration, you send people without a purpose. The only reason why a military they get into war now because there is a purpose. There is no purpose for their war for Ambazonia. No person give them a reason that they protect Nabia. Now which interest they protect them? Well, if we advance the development of Cameroon, for all the 40-something years or 62 years, 63 years, we did not occupy Ambazonia. Now how we don't develop Cameroon? Now how we don't bring stability for Cameroon? Now how we don't advance the educational system, the progress and development for Cameroon? How you don't help them? That's why they be savages. Because when you send a people, may they go do something, and there is no justifiable reason for their presence for B-Day, they don't get a meaning, they don't get a purpose, they don't get a reason. That's why they act like that. Tomorrow, I go take una into the deeper social biological systems as to how Cameroon consider you as an Ambazonian. Tomorrow, I go take una through something where I don't this work on for the last 1 week. I go take una into the psychology of a predatory system. The social biological things then. The perception where Cameroon is getting for you as an Ambazonian, and why did it push those type of genocidal scorched earth policies for Ambazonia. I go walk on through the system of thinking for inside Cameroon, for inside the state apparatus on the Ambazonian people then. And why they consider, say, for eliminate you, for wipe out all Ambazonians, that they correcting for them for doing. And they must enjoy for doing. I go walk una through that system. And then I go give our people them the suggestion, the solutions, how to deal with predators. The way we will fight this war must change. I might just tell you in advance. The way we will fight the war must change. When I walk you through the system, you will come to the conclusion, say the way we will fight the war must change. Would he ignore the real war with the fight them, and would he go fight in a different war? And you know go take it to Usa Wango. And that's why, up until this moment, Mr. Biya and the people of Cameroon, they never really be serious for negotiation. But after the tomorrow discussion, we must turn the page, and we must know place we must put fire. The level escalation on the ground. For go after the real people them. When they commit this evil on our people. It could be in a new language. It could be in a new set of action. It could be in a new way of escalation. There will be no sparing of anyone who will be responsible for the pain with the Ambazonian people they go through. There will be no sparing of anyone who will be responsible for Amambide for stay for bush. There will be no sparing of anyone and the networks of these people them will be responsible for 750,000 Ambazonians will be homeless. There will be no sparing of any collaborator, any person where it be involved in the management and the governance of Cameroon's occupation system and their network of elites. There will be no sparing for the pain we don't cause and for our people then. For our villages where they don't burn them. For our picking they don't rape them. For our businesses where they don't destroy them. There will be no sparing. But you must first understand the psychology of the enemy. You must first understand the drive of the enemy. You must first understand the manipulative tendencies of the enemy. You must understand the perceptual system of the enemy. A system of perception. Because now a perception, now it determine how he see you, how he look at you. And you must understand what are those perceptions that come out. You must understand the enemy perception of you. You must understand the things that they make them for do what they do on our people on a daily basis. And what be their mission. I go walk through that system. For today, Abuam will just get a discussion for understand, say, Cameroon be in chaos. And there is no magic bullet. Mr. Biya is coming back to Cameroon after 50 days. It no go change anything for Cameroon. It go instead increase the anger, the anxiety, and the frustration of the Cameroonese people then. Most Cameroonese, when you talk to them, they pray me Biya die. Most Cameroonians, they go for streets, jubilate and celebrate for Paul Biya for die. The death of Paul Biya, it will give maybe some trigger for change. Even if now a change, even if na negative change, they go prefer them than the presence of Biya. Even if the change will be uncertain, because no man don't know what that change will be. But for all these political scientists who I talk for them, 3 out of 4, they predict say, because of the uncertainty within the political system, the only change will take place should in case anything happen, Mr. Biya naturally or through just say the sick, it could be a military takeover. So far, that's what then they conclude. For we, the Ambazonian people, then, we'll get work for doing. For we, the Ambazonian people, then, we'll get work for doing. We'll get preparations for making. Cameroun, their future be bleak, their future be doomed. The people for North, they no go ever agree make the Bulu they take power back. And the Bulu, they no go ever agree make Bubakari they take power should in case of Paul Biya Day. The Bulus, they no go ever agree. We never even talk about the axis of the Maurice Kamto. We never ever talk about and the Biya'S. We never talk about the axis of the Basa. We never talk about all those ones. The two complex axes. Now, what's going to happen with the Northeast and what's going to happen with the Bulus? The clash between these 2 points of contention. Because as things are there now, anything will happen for Biya now, Nyat, county out, now Bubakari will take over power for filling the political vacuum for about 120 days before he call for elections. He no go take that power, fill in that political vacuum for 120 days, call for elections for the Bulus for bring Frank Biya back. It no go happen. During that 120 days, either the Cameroon military they step in, take power, and then they install Frank Biya, or Emmanuel Macron will come there, use the B for can install Frank Biya. In any case, the political situation for Cameroon, like ticking time bomb. That's why it been the best opportunity for the Ambazonian people then. When the enemy they in chaos, when the enemy be very weak, when the enemy be very uncertain, when the enemy be very confused, now the time that we need for build our capacity, build our strength. Once again, make a talk to the generals, which I be reminded last week. All the generals on the ground now will not be the leaders on the ground. Now will not be the authority on the ground. Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, for April this year, he give una instructions and he give una order. Una seize all the assets of all CPDM elites when not then they make you be under occupation. Una seize their assets. Una use that money and una liberate the land. The commander-in-chief of Ambazonian forces, he give una instructions. Una seize the assets of Cameroon CPDM colonial elites. All their money where they get them. Now money where they steal them from the colonial state. The colonial state, he extort that money through economic exploitation. So their money, they steal them through the occupation system, through extortion. The commander-in-chief, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, he don't tell all Ambazonian commanders, we seize all the businesses, we seize all the money of all CPDM elites, and we use that money for buy more arms, for defend the Ambazonian people, for protect the Ambazonian people, and for end this genocide on the Ambazonian people then. For April 2024, now the orders that were the leader of our liberation, he give commanders and generals. As Cameroon, they under confusion. As Cameroon, they under chaos. As the political time bomb kick for Cameroon. Now the time this, all generals and commanders will now seize all the assets of Cameroon CPDM colonial elites. When I use those assets, now those people, they keep what people, the money occupation. When I use those assets for arm ourselves, for M Cameroon a presence for our land. That's the message for today. Tomorrow, we'll chat on our phones, we'll be ready. Tomorrow we will deliver and unmask the predatory system so that we will understand why they kill our people and how they see you as an Ambazonian. For now, no man, no need for shake. All the fire must be on La Republique. All the pressure must be on La Republique. We must escalate to number 10. Good night.
Na. Abu.